Welcome to the Big Picture Retirement Show, where you'll learn what it really takes to have a successful retirement. With over 20 years of experience, your host, Rick Rivera of Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, has seen it all and is here to help you achieve your retirement dreams. This is the Big Picture Retirement Show.
Welcome into the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera. I'm Mark Elliott. Glad you're with us. Rick is a partner at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, has over 20 years in the financial industry. Rick, Reed, Eddie, the team at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group are here to help you figure out where you are on that road to retirement. Can I retire? Do I have enough? Are we going to be okay? Will our money last as long as we need it? There's a lot of questions and concerns people have when it comes to retirement. If you have those questions, maybe you have other questions. 800-700-1980. No cost, no obligation, no pressure to chat with the team at Safeguard. It's all about you. Can they help? They don't know if they can until you reach out. They'd love to give you some insight into your retirement picture. 800-700-1980. You can always find out more about Rick and the team, find out about upcoming events on the website safeguardinvestment.com. Safeguardinvestment.com. Hey, Rick, how are you?
Doing real good, Mark. How about yourself?
I'm good. All right, so let's say that you and your wife, you and Shauna are going to buy a house.
Yep.
Would you look at that house before, or would you just blindly buy it? Now that we can do so many things online, I mean, you don't have to see it. You don't have to drive the car. You can just see them. Wouldn't you typically, though, go through a house, or you're going to get an apartment in San Diego? You would probably go through it first, wouldn't you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I know. It's real easy. You can do a lot of shopping online now, and especially if it's a place you're going to live, then absolutely, you do a little shopping online, but then you're always going to want to physically go there and take a look at it. And one of the things I do is I definitely want to physically go there, especially if I'm going to live in it. It's not just specifically for straight investment. I'm going to maybe want to go there at night, go there during the day, make sure that, I'm not going to run into any surprises just depending upon, what it is that we're actually looking for. So absolutely.
Yeah. So it's about the neighborhood. It's about everything. When you make that big purchase of a house, you think of buying a car. You typically will test drive that car. You think of buying clothes. You typically will go try them on at the store, and then you buy them and take them home. I don't like to try them on, so I take them, I guess at my size, take them home. And if they work, they can be baggy, but if they're tight, they got to go back. But if they're baggy, I'll wear them, but I don't like doing that. But, that's what we do. We test drive, right? We're trying on the clothes, test driving a car, looking at the house. How do we take that analogy of test driving a car, for example? How do we test drive retirement, or is that even possible?
Yeah, that's actually a very good question. And where I can see that coming into play is a couple of different areas. And especially when you mentioned the house thing, when you mentioned that we have a lot of retirees that decide, hey, you know what, I'm going to move out of California. I'm going to move out of state and, move to, some other state because maybe the taxes are low, or some other reason, or maybe, the kids are, they want to be closer to the kids that are out of state. And, sometimes, things sound great. And it's, especially if you plan on doing it to save money in taxes, it's wise to actually go visit it, not just in the best times, but visit that area in the worst times. Like, in other words, if you plan on, going to Utah, make sure that you know what it's like in the wintertime and you can deal with it, especially being from California. And certain places like Florida, you should maybe visit that place in the summertime and realize, hey, wait a minute, the humidity difference is going to be dramatic, California and Florida. So it's things like that you're going to want to check out. But the other very important thing that is key is understand the rationale why you're moving. And let me give you a common example. A lot of people will move out of California because it's going to save them money in state taxes. But if you don't do your research properly, there's times where you can go to another state and the property taxes might be 3 times the amount as what you're paying here in California. And the money that you thought you were saving on state taxes, now you're paying it into property taxes. So it's all got to make sense. And the same thing with even buying an RV or anything like that. I know that when my wife and we were thinking about buying an Airstream, we said, hey, let's test this thing out first because, it's quite a significant investment. So they actually had Airstream parks that we could go to and stay in an actual Airstream and camp for a few days. And if we wanted to rent one, we could go and, rent one and and try it out. We decided we liked it, we loved it, and then we made that purchase. So it's much better to play it safe than be sorry. You should always, any way you can, definitely test drive those types of things before you make that kind of commitment.
You missed the biggest reason people are moving out of California. It's the price of In-N-Out burgers. You got to go find them cheaper. They're getting too expensive. But that's an interesting one, the Airstream, because, and if you have questions just like this, that's what Rick and the team at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group are here to walk you through the big picture blueprint. It's about your retirement, income, investment, taxes, healthcare, legacy planning. You've got to have a plan for all of this. Social Security decisions, Medicare decisions. Rick and the team are here to help guide you. It's 800-700-1980, 800-700-1980. No cost to you, no obligation, no pressure. If Rick and the team can help, great. Then the question would be, do you want their help? That's certainly, just because you call them doesn't mean you're going to become a client of Safeguard Investment Advisory Group. The thing I think that's so great about this opportunity is to get clarity into your retirement picture. You probably never sat down with a retirement planning team like Rick's at Safeguard. It's an opportunity for you to find out where you are. Maybe you've got time on your side to make some tweaks to put things better. Rick always says if you come in and sit down with him for 45 minutes, he's going to give you 2 ideas that will enhance whatever it is you're doing. Again, that number is 800-700-1980. You mentioned the Airstream. And you think back to 2020, we certainly learned that, it's important to have an emergency fund for a lot of people that got laid off and furloughed during that 2020 COVID time. But what happened is we had an explosion in the Airstream world and the RV world. Yeah. And you think that now, I don't know how many clients you have that, own RVs or said, hey, Rick, we're selling the home, we're buying an RV, we're traveling the country. But there were a lot of people that did that. That would certainly be one of those because RVs are not cheap. Maybe rent that baby first to see if you could handle it. Are you comfortable with doing that? And you're comfortable being in that all the time? That's a great time to test one, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. And I'll give you a little insight on my scenario is, when we were, doing the Airstream thing and we went to AutoCamp, we went in one of the Airstreams, we liked it, we enjoyed it. We're like, yeah, we could see ourselves doing this quite a bit. Even after I decided, hey, we're going to do this. Now, keep in mind, we've never owned an RV before. So, I had to learn, how to do the hookups and all the rest of the stuff that comes along with it. And our first Airstream was a sport. And after the first year, we took it out a lot. Every month we were going someplace. And learning all the bugs and figuring things out, I decided I wanted to upgrade my Airstream to a different level one, because I realized since we were doing it so often, there were certain features and amenities and things that I wanted that I didn't have in mind. So we ended up actually trading out that first one, which cost a little bit of money to do, but trading out that first one to level up to the next level to really find that sweet spot that was right for me. And if I could have done it over again, I would have probably, because I didn't actually go and rent RVs and did all the hookups myself. What we did is we went to different, what we call auto camps. They were RV Airstream parks. We went to different ones, and everything's already done for you. And you're not pulling, these trailers from destination to destination. So if I would have maybe rented a few and did it on my own, then I could have maybe bought one Airstream and been done, as opposed to have to trading up, because now when you're trailering and you have to do hookups and all the rest of it, you really find that sweet spot of, okay, there's certain amenities that I thought were not going to be a big deal, but when you're doing it as often as we are, we're like, hey, here's some key amenities that'd be really nice to have. And, that analogy can work in so many different areas. And the fact that we specialize in actually retirement planning, people come to us, we can actually share experiences our own clients have had over the years based upon what you're trying to accomplish. Maybe you're trying to move to Utah or Arizona or Florida, or maybe you're trying to, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. I can guarantee you, we've had, doing this over 2 decades, we've had clients that had those experiences, and we can maybe give you tidbits that might help you and maybe share ideas with you that you never even thought about before that could help you. And a big part of our practice, probably about 80% of the stuff that we share with our clients are things that we've learned from our clients in the past, and we bring those tools and those and that advice. We basically learn from their experiences.
I think that's an awesome thing is that, you've been in the business for over 20 years. You sat down with a lot of people. You and Reed and Eddie, you start the company in 2008. So you sat down with a lot of people, a lot of different scenarios. Do you ever have somebody go, hey, we're not really sure, Rick, if we need more money than this? Do you ever tell them, hey, why don't you go try to live on what we know you're going to have for a month or two and see if that works? And then that'll ease a lot of pressure on, how you feel. I mean, do you ever do an income test?
I wouldn't say specifically an income test, which is actually a good idea to do. Generally, what we do is we diagram ahead of time what they, are feeling that they need. And we can generally gauge it pretty close. And then once they do retire, we know that we need to leave room for leeway one way or the other. So once they actually retire and settle in, then we say, okay, this is the base that we know that we're going to need. And then once they're in it for a few months or 6 months or a year, then we can then re-engage and say, okay, are these amounts working for you? And then if it turns out that, hey, we need a few more dollars a month, or maybe they're like, hey, listen, you know what? I wasn't spending quite what I thought I was going to spend, and we can back off of it and let the investments grow a little more efficiently or whatever. Then we work it out that way. But I can't say all the time, but I have had a few clients where, kind of did an income test like what you're talking about. But generally we try to, get that done in advance as close as possible.
Right. That's the key. I mean, really, you can't retire without income. So that's one of the first things that Safeguard Investment Advisory.
And Mark, I don't want to interrupt you. I guess the point is that sometimes with that income test that you're talking about, sometimes with some clients, it's a little hard at the beginning because, like, if they're still working and there's certain expenses that they know for a fact that they're going to have anyway. So it's kind of hard to draw back on that income test during that time because there's like certain expenses they just can't cut because they're still working or they got this business or this operation going on. But that we know going forward, those expenses are going to be completely eliminated. So, but then for others, like you said, that it could actually work out just fine. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's fine. Because at the end of the day, it is about income. You've got to have income to be able to retire. And Rick and the team at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, the big picture blueprint, it's certainly going to figure that out for you, right? What do you need month after month? What's going out? What do you need to have come in? But it's all going to talk about your portfolio. How is it set up? Is it set up the right way for you? Tax efficient planning, healthcare, long-term care, legacy planning, Social Security, Medicare, all those decisions. If you'd like to even talk about, hey, I'm thinking about moving here, Rick, what do you think of that? Or I'm thinking about renting or buying an RV. What do you think of that? I'm going to get an Airstream, Rick. You've got one. What do you think? What do I need? 800-700-1980 is the number. Again, this is totally complimentary. 800-700-1980. One more time. Might be the most important phone call you make, and there's no cost. 800-700-1980. Back with more of the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera of Safeguard Investment Advisory Group right after this.
You're listening to the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera. For more information about Rick and the Safeguard Investment Advisory Group team, go to safeguardinvestment.com. While you're there, you can also download educational retirement guides and sign up for an upcoming seminar. That's safeguardinvestment.com. Now, back to the podcast.
Glad you're with us today for the Big Picture Retirement Show with Rick Rivera of Safeguard Investment Advisory Group. They're all about giving you direction and clarity on your road to retirement. Do you have enough? Do you not have enough? If you don't have enough, how can we maybe help? If you do have enough, what are you going to do? How are you going to spend your time? It's not all about money. You need income to retire, certainly, but it's also about the mental challenge of going from working to retirement. You're married. Now you're together more often. You got to make sure you're kind of on the same page. You don't have to be in the same room all the time, but you do have to be kind of on the same page what you're going to do. So there's a lot of moving targets here in retirement. Rick and the team at Safeguard are here to help guide you in that. 800-700-1980 is the number, 800-700-1980. Rick, you said you thought I missed the wrong hamburger place. It wasn't In-N-Out burgers that were too expensive. McDonald's is the one that really hammered the prices up. Big Macs, I think I saw something that the old Big Mac meal was like $18.
Yeah, it's crazy because here in California, of course, prices went up across the board, but it seems like, McDonald's and all them actually raise their prices more than In-N-Out. It seems like In-N-Out is more reasonable.
And great burgers.
Compared to the others. And the only reason why I know that is because my wife loves In-N-Out and she's there all the time. So,
Not want to offend your wife's favorite hamburger place. Yes.
Yeah, In-N-Out, and she loves their French fries and everything else. So I definitely know the cost of their burgers, and, yeah, and they're always busy. They got lines out the door.
All right, so let's touch on Social Security and inflation a little bit and interest rates. The Fed met just recently because the rumor was Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, they kind of missed it, in 2022, I believe it was. Inflation, it's transitory, it's going to be here and be gone. Well, they were wrong there. And then earlier this year, they're saying we're probably going to lower interest rates 3 times in 2024. They haven't done it yet. They just had a meeting. And they said, well, we might be able to do it once this year. So they've even backed off of the 3 interest rate decreases to now maybe only once. How does that affect us? Does it affect us?
Well, yeah, it's going to affect, short-term volatility of the market. And, if we're going to talk straight investments, obviously, we all know that, because interest rates are higher, borrowing money costs more. So obviously that could affect us but if we're retirees, we shouldn't be, borrowing a bunch of money and worried about credit card debt and all the other stuff, because we're not hopefully charging up credit cards and doing all those things. But from an investment standpoint, certainly short term, if the market feels interest rates are going to go up, then of course, that's going to hurt the market. And if they feel interest rates are going to go down, that's going to help the market. But at the end of the day, this is all temporary things. If we're doing planning, we have to, we've been doing this so long. We've seen ups and downs of the market. We've seen interest rates change. We've seen different, presidential administrations. We've seen war. We've seen famine. We've seen all these different things. So if we have a plan that is in place, that secures your income, that secures all your needs in retirement, that we have a plan that is in place that actually sets you up for the worst case scenario. So if the worst case scenario happens where the market goes down, interest rates rise, and all the worst things happen, and we know you're going to be okay under that environment because that's the way we structured it. Well, under the best case scenario, if the market, continues to run, well, we don't need to worry about that. We know you're going to be okay, if the market continues to run and does well. So really the key thing here is about education and planning for the worst case scenario, making sure there's a huge difference between an accumulation plan versus an income plan. And a big thing that I see happen is a lot of people, when they retire, they go to a stockbroker or some advisor, and they got a bunch of stocks, and the advisor say, hey, you know what, we'll do, a proper asset allocation. Now you're taking income off your investments, and we'll, again, use the 4% rule or some of these general rules of thumb. And they have you invested in the market, and now the market's down 10, you're pulling out 4, you're now down 14. Going into the following year, you still need your income, because you can't call the electric company and say, listen, can I put you off until the market rebounds? So you need another 4%. Now you're down 18 before the market even, gets a chance to correct. So now you're panicking, and some people end up going back to work again. So really, there's a huge difference between an accumulation plan versus income plan. If you want to know those differences, then you should give us a call, and we can share some ideas with you that our own clients are using to put them in a situation where not only from a planning standpoint, but from an educational standpoint, we have our clients set up so that way when there is market volatility, when the market goes down, not only are they not worried about it because everything is set up perfectly, but we actually have levers and leverages in place so they can leverage down markets in their favor. So now when there is a down market, they're looking at down markets as opportunity, not as a negative thing. They're actually like, oh, wow, you know what? Because let's just face it, out of a 10-year period of time, we're going to at least have 2 or 3 years that are down markets. So now when we have those down markets, they can say, oh, wow, Rick, this poses opportunity for us. And they already know the strategy. They already know the game plan. So I think it's more about that than worrying about, short-term interest rate hikes or decreases or whatever. But of course, anytime the market does fluctuate, we do have a game plan for that for our clients.
So really what you're saying is about the plan. It's putting the plan in place, and we know, I mean, you sit down with somebody that's 60 and they're going to retire at 65, for example. And if they stay with you that whole time of their retirement, you know that there's going to be things that will happen in their lives that you have to change and tweak some things in the plan. That's just how it works. I mean, life happens. If you'd like to sit down with Rick and talk about this, it's 800-700-1980, 800-700-1980, no cost to you whatsoever. It's just a great opportunity, I think, for you to find out more about where you are. But at the end of the day, that's what you're doing. That big picture blueprint is creating a plan for right now and saying, okay, down the road, we think taxes will be this. We think, hey, long-term care is going to be more expensive. Maybe we got to figure out something in that because your health's not great right now. Whatever it is, you kind of do some foreshadowing. Kind of, we think we got to be aware of this, but things happen, and the plan, the big picture blueprint has to be flexible because our lives are not written in stone.
Right. It's got to be set up so that way you're not caught by surprises. And because we specialize in this area, and we deal with retirees. I don't generally deal with 30-year-olds. I mean, if I have a 30-year-old, it's usually because a client of mine said, hey, Rick, I need you to help out my kid. But, this is an area that we specialize in. So this is where we actually step in and say, hey, here's what we've seen. Here's what clients' experiences have been. Here's what we can do to mitigate this. So that way, if X, Y, Z should occur, you're good. Don't even worry about it. But again, you got to be educated on the plan so you understand that internally, not because I'm just telling you, but because you understand it, you're educated on the plan, and then that way you can walk away feeling empowered. You're educated. Education is huge.
Right. So we've got final 45 seconds. And again, that number is 800-700-1980, 800-700-1980. But I'll let you remind people, if they come in and sit down for a 45-minute chat, you always say you'll what?
I'll give you at least 2 ideas that will enhance whatever it is that you're doing, and it'll cost you nothing to do.
How about that? 2 ideas that will enhance whatever it is you are currently doing, and there is no cost to you. 800-700-1980. Again, I think it could be one of the more important phone calls you make. We are talking about the next 20, 30 years of your life. 800-700-1980. Sit down with Rick Rivera and the team at Safeguard Investment Advisory Group. Rick, as always, enjoyed it. Enjoy the rest of the weekend. Have a great week. We'll do it again next week.
Same to you, Mark. Have a great day.
Firm offers insurance services. Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC, is a registered investment advisory firm. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Any references to protection, safety, or lifetime income generally refer to fixed insurance products, never securities or investments. Insurance guarantees are backed by the financial strength and claims-paying abilities of the issuing carrier. This radio show is intended for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be used as the sole basis for financial decisions, nor should it be construed as advice designed to meet the particular needs of an individual situation. Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC, is not permitted to offer, and no statement made during this show shall constitute tax or legal advice. Our firm is not affiliated with or endorsed by the U.S. government or any governmental agency. The information and opinions contained herein provided by third parties have been obtained from sources believed to be reliable, but accuracy and completeness cannot be guaranteed by Safeguard Investment Advisory Group, LLC.